Do you know these tits, Errol?
I know a lot of tits, Governor, but I don't know any quite as stupid as these two.
How much time? 30? 30 seconds? I'm on right now. I don't believe you. What?
Solidari-Tea, how do you brew? The finest of greetings from me to you. This is the Brews at 10 on my left eye. I'm your humble host Lefty. A very warm welcome, everybody. How are you brewing this evening? Let's get on with it. Davinia, good evening. First in the chats. I see a lot of familiar names and faces as well. Hedy, thanks for joining us, brother. Great to see you as well. Andrew Luke, nice to see you, and thank you very much for a gifted membership. That's a fine way to kick off the stream. So let's take that up to 176 now. Excellent. And that's how we like to get started. Graham Turner's also with us in the chat. A very good evening. Jafuli Porcher's the recipient of the gifted membership. We have a doc in the house. And Floor Snake's with us as well. Solidari-Tea, one and all. Please hit thumbs up. If you're just joining us, get settled. Stick around as well. Because we've been waiting 3 weeks for the return of PMQs and Keith's catchphrases. That's of course the main staple of the stream. As well as persistently keeping up with the chat that keeps lagging, as you can see there. Cursor reveal, behind the scenes look. No, seriously, hitting appropriate buttons really does help out the stream on the algorithm. So please do that, as well as give us a share on your social media as well. Solidari Hobgoblin from Blow Snake. Partial to a bit of Hobgoblin. Or whatever you're drinking. Cheers, everybody. Got a piping hot brew. Filled to the brim. In the biggest cup that was available in the vicinity. Okay, where was I? Yeah, as well as PMQs, obviously. Keith's Catchphrases. A couple of UK bits. I do like to take a look at a poll or two after we've seen PMQs. I've got some particularly interesting ones as well. What else do we have? Oh yes, Steve Reed, the Secretary, Housing Secretary. He's put his foot in it. He's come out with some ridiculous accusations against Zach Belansky and the Green Party. Reminiscent of a time gone by. But more on that from the, well, if you want to get technical, Secretary of State for Housing Community, I believe is the title. Might be another word in there. I can think of a few four-lettered ones to describe him. So we'll take a look at that too. Bit of an interstellar conversation happening in the chat at the moment. And we did kick off the stream with a gifted membership. This is the roster, back to roster of members. 176 now towards the target of 250. We did breach the 250 for a brief time. But thanks to all of you who've renewed your own, gifted to other people, helped to grow the community and spread the Solidari-Tea as well. Other ways that you can help to support this stream or the channel are with super chats or super stickers if you're watching live. There's a Buy Me a Coffee page as well in the description of any content on the stream. You'll find a link if you just scroll down through the description. And back here on YouTube there are super thanks as well. But we do appreciate the support wherever it comes from. And also thank you to those of you who've gifted hype points on video content recently. That's available on mobile devices if you'd care to take a look and gift us some hype points. Thanks once again, everybody. You're a fine bunch, you really are.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Socialists.
Oh my God.
Bit of comedy to get things underway in a moment. It's a short clip, but it's great. Pertaining to that post that we mentioned we spoke about yesterday on the stream. Donald Trump's post, which he later deleted, removed, cancelled. He cancelled himself. Nobody was depicting himself essentially as Jesus Christ with healing hands. And then tried to say that what he actually meant to do was post himself as a doctor. But this is a good little clip coming up from TBC. That's what they're called. It's not to be confirmed. It is confirmed. They are TBC, so it's not TBC. Understood? Everybody got that? It's TBC because it's not TBC. Bilderberg's with us as well, great to see you. Thanks for joining us on stream. I think I've taken care of all the plugs and thanks and that sort of business. Oh, another shout out to Andrew Luke as well, who I think had to dive off, but gifted the membership at the top of the stream there. We collaborated with Andrew Luke and Screen Cleaner recently. Check that episode out. And could be possibly collaborating again, which we'll look forward to. So go over and show some support for one of you fellow viewers. He's got some great content there as well. Okay, speaking of great content, we'll go straight to the comedy clip now. PMQs can become a bit... I will have to start the entire stream again. Nearly. I know, but it can be a bit drawn out, is what I was attempting to relay to you at the moment. So we'll quickly get started. And this is from TBC. There's a link in the description for the original post if you want to check them out. Social media, I'm not sure if they're on. I don't think they are on YouTube.
Are you suffering from a serious life-threatening illness? Has your doctor told you you're probably going to die? My name is Dr. Donald Trump, and I have helped millions of patients with conditions just like yours. Cancer, heart disease.
Oh, and in case it wasn't entirely apparent, 13 seconds into this, it's artificial intelligence, it's computer generated, it is not real, this is not the real Donald J. Trump. So we'll just kick off again, and recall, second time around, that it's obviously AI. I think I have to say that. Just to be careful.
Are you suffering from a serious life-threatening illness? Has your doctor told you you're probably going to die? My name is Dr. Donald Trump, and I have helped millions of patients with conditions just like yours. Cancer, heart disease, ALS, you name it. Conditions your doctor said were untreatable. I've seen them all and I fixed them all. I use an advanced technique that the cheating medical establishment don't want you to know about. The results are, frankly, incredible. Nobody gets results like this. They're the greatest results.
They gave me 6 weeks to live, but then I called the hotline and was healed entirely through the phone.
I was clinically brain dead, and my wife was about to pull the plug when the doctor saved my life.
If you or someone you love is suffering, don't wait. Don't let the corrupt medical establishment tell you what's possible. Call 1-900-NOT-JESUS today. Let's make your health great again. Are you suffering?
Wonderful little clip there from TBC, link in the description, people. Not sure if we've had them on before. The comedy zone, the comedy paddock. Comedy paddock, I think I prefer. Has more of a rustic sense to it. Might make an official tag for that. Comedy paddock, okay. Might end up on a post-it note somewhere. So now, let's crack on with PMQs and Keith's catchphrases. It's been a while, but we're back again.
On with it. Yes, get on with it. Get on with it.
Yeah, Jesus, changed from brown to white and now orange. Graham. Sinead Adams, nice to see you in chat. Solidari-Tea. So we're going to get started whether Keith's ready or not. Are you ready, Keith?
Oh no.
Tough shit.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole. Plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Right, so what's going on? It's pretty simple. For anybody who doesn't already know, I'll quickly go through the rules. We pit two phrases or words against one another, keep a score, keep a running score. As we go through the full PMQ sessions, this will be a first time viewing for me, so no spoilers in the chat, please. Good people. A few caveats: the contending phrases have to be spoken by Keir Starmer himself. It's a winner stays on format unless all of the other contenders have been played, and that has actually happened now, with our champion being crowned in the final game before Easter recess. Security being the first champion of the Keith's Catchphrases League. Congratulations once again. I will take a look at the league in a moment. Just another couple of rules though. Slight variations are allowed, for example, past tenses, pluralisation, that kind of thing. And within the league, it's 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and bugger all for a loss. Everybody down with that. So this is how the league looks at the moment. You can see there, Security crowned champion, played 9, won 8 of those, has accumulated 24 points and 27 mentions in those 9 games. So that will be unassailable now, even if any of the remaining contenders won all of the remaining potential matchups. So that being the case, we replaced both contenders from last week, and I had to double check on this because I was certain it seems too much of a classic matchup from before we moved to the league format. But Postman Twat and Deliver, who you can see in second place there with 10 points, will go up against Black Hole, who's in the bottom half of the table. We'll take a look at... Oh, not that one. We'll take a look at the bottom half. Here you can see in 9th place, having only played one game so far, so bit of a pre-league classic matchup again. It will be Deliver versus Black Hole. And with that announcement from the IMF the other day, I think there's a good chance of this kind of thing coming up, especially blaming the Tories for a £22 billion black hole. Let's see if they can take on Postman Swat and Security, who are currently second. Right, that's more or less it as far as the rules go. Any questions from anybody who's not familiar, just post them in the chat. I'll try and keep you informed as we go through. So I'll go over to Lindsay Hoyle now. We don't need the background music. Thanks. Yes, you will hear this noise anytime one of the phrases is mentioned. I should also add, for long-standing reasons, I still have something of a Pavlovian reaction to the word deliver during PMQs, even when it's not contending. But I have been pretty good in resisting and, training myself to not hit the button when it comes up. So now I've got to unlearn what I've unlearned. We'll see. No, I think, Postman Twat syndrome is definitely real. It would probably stay with me for life. And there's also, I should say, a hidden feature, which won't be revealed yet, obviously, it being hidden. That is something that any member of the opposition or anyone apart from Keith basically can say. But it remains a mystery for now until it is mentioned. Do have that pre-prepared as well, and you'll get a very subtle notification when the hidden feature has been unlocked. So off we go. Take it away, Lindsay.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Warren Edwards.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, quick start. No visiting delegates or attaché.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Southport inquiry report is truly harrowing, and I cannot imagine the pain that it will cause the families of all those affected. We will make the changes needed to honour the victims, the injured and the families. And our thoughts remain with the loved ones of Elsie, Bibi and Alice, and all of those impacted. Mr. Speaker, today marks 37 years since the Hillsborough disaster, when 97 men, women and children went to a football match and never returned. My promise remains, working with families, we will deliver a Hillsborough law to end the injustice that they have suffered and ensure the state will always act for the people.
Quick start for Postman Twat.
This morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
In the opening
statement, the Prime
statements.
Minister was right to resist us being drawn into an ill-conceived war in the Middle East. With the apparent...
I'm sorry if you weren't aware, but the American bombers took off from this country. Yeah. I don't know where you're getting your information from. Don't know where the people who were cheering that on are getting their information on. I'm getting pretty sick of hearing this from the government. And it's been just a few weeks. There is literally literally no way that the United States Armed Forces would have been able to attack Iran if it wasn't for us. That's being directly involved, and we also spy on other countries at their and Israel's behest. So shut up and sit down.
No clear plan for how it may end. And despite the welcome cost of living support he referenced in his statement on Monday, we are all rightly angry that our constituents will feel the impact of this war in their pockets and in their daily lives. Can he outline what steps he is taking both to support our armed forces and to plan for all future contingencies? We all hope for a swift resolution and progress at the summit later this week, but must be prepared for all potential scenarios.
Prime Minister.
Can I thank my honourable friend, the Royal Engineers in her constituency?
Can I thank her for repeating what I wrote down for her to say in this obvious planted question?
And all those serving our country at home and abroad. We're proud to be investing a record £9 billion to deliver quality homes that they deserve.
And another.
We're turning around army recruitment after the party opposite missed targets for 14 years. But the foremost responsibility to our armed forces
2-0.
are the decisions we take on military action.
Okay, where are we?
My principles are clear. That's a sharp contrast to the Leader of the Opposition, who wanted to jump into the war with both feet without thinking through the consequences.
Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Bill.
Mr. Speaker, that was a very interesting answer from the Prime Minister. Lord Robertson, who authored the government's Strategic Defence Review, has said the Prime Minister has a corrosive complacency when it comes to defence. Why did he say that?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker.
Bloody hell. She has the open goal of our direct involvement, and she doesn't even take it. She's referring to a minor point about advice. Whatever it was. Kind of zoned out. I wonder if she'll repeat this like she normally does. The thing with Kemi's 6 questions is you don't get 6 different questions. She generally asks the first one at least a further 2 or 3 times.
Let me start by saying I respect Lord Robertson, and I thank him again. I thank him again for carrying out the strategic review. My responsibility is to keep the British people safe, and that is a duty I take seriously. That is why I don't agree with his comments. Last February, that was 7 months after taking office, I took the decision to increase defence spending from 2.3 to 2.6%, paid for by a difficult decision on overseas aid.
What do you need all this money for if we're not getting involved? Seems rather spurious to me. Suspicious.
Last June, at the NATO
curious.
summit, I committed to raising core defence spending to 3.5%. Last November, Mr. Speaker, the budget committed record funding to defence. I reaffirm those commitments now. The Strategic Defence Review is a 10-year blueprint for national security. The Defence Investment Plan will put that into effect.
I nearly went for the button for security then. Of course, security won't be featuring for the remainder of the season, which will end either at the end of the parliamentary term or when Keith quits or gets chucked out, whichever happens sooner.
Will be published as soon as possible. We need to get it right. We inherited plans that were uncosted and undeliverable, and we're not going to repeat those mistakes.
I'll obviously allow deliverable. That's 3-0 now, but he was on fire there with a series of candidates. Inheritance, plan, change. Had quite a few of the different candidates that regular viewers will be familiar with. That was just a smorgasbord of Keithisms. We change the score. What is it now? 3-0. I'm a bit rusty. It's been a few weeks. Okay, let's carry on.
Mr. Speaker, he says he doesn't agree with Lord Robertson. Lord Robertson is a former Labour Defence Secretary, a former NATO Secretary General. He also said, and I quote, "We are underprepared."
So she is doing the repeating herself thing again. I still can't believe. Well, she would support our involvement. That's why she's not been critical of it, obviously. I'm aware of that. But then it's left her completely impotent in this debate. When presented with an open goal, yeah, she can't even kick the ball. What are you going to do? But it's there. I'm sure that members of the opposition will take the opportunity. I hope that we're going to hear some good stuff as well. Just a reminder, it's a first time watch for me. No spoilers in chats. Thank you, good people.
We are underinsured. We are under attack. He said...
Order. Sorry? Yeah. I don't think it looks good, shouting somebody down at the dispatch box. Come back up.
Mr. Speaker, Lord Robertson's criticisms were of the Prime Minister, and he said Britain's national security is in peril. Our armed forces are at the end of their tether, waiting for this government to fund the strategic...
There's always a bloody unseen, unnamed enemy out there, and we have to raise defence spending or give up our personal liberties to defend ourselves for, or get involved with illegal conflicts to fight the latest bogey person, bogey country, whatever it might be. How long is it going to go on for before these idiots see sense that no good ever comes out of this, either economically or in terms of loss of life? Ridiculous.
Defence review. There are still 2 weeks of the parliamentary session left. So why wouldn't the Prime Minister publish the Defence Investment Plan before then?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I remind the House that we've put in place the biggest sustained increase in defence spending since the Cold War. Mr. Speaker, let me spell that out. That means we're spending £270 billion over this Parliament. That's £5 billion more than...
On what? And for what? We're not getting involved in this thing with Iran. Who do we need to arm ourselves to fight against or defend ourselves against, whatever, these ridiculous amounts of money as well that he's mentioning, while many social elements crumble, public services go to waste. The old bottomless pit for war. Again, when will it end? How many times are we going to hear the same excuses for the same warmongering crap?
This year, with defence funding increasing every year. These are record amounts, Mr. Speaker. Decisions of a Labour Prime Minister, a Labour Chancellor and a Labour government. And what a contrast. When they came into office, defence spending was 2.5%. When they left, it was 2.3%. When they came into office, the army was 100,000. When they left office, 72,000. They cut frigates and destroyers by 25%. They cut mine hunters by 50%. She said at the weekend, our defence is the weakest for 400 years. That...
Is she sat on the floor, or is she just sat between... Who's that? Make some adjustments here of the technology. She just sat between two tall fellas. Oh, I mean, she's not particularly of great stature herself, but it genuinely looks, I'm not taking the piss either, it looks as though she's sat on the floor.
Is what they left behind.
Well,
Mr. Speaker, he's talking about the biggest sustained increase. Talking about an increase is not the same as giving an increase. The military and the defence industry want to hear about what he's going to do, not him prosecuting past governments. He promised the Defence Investment Plan would be published. He promised that the Defence Investment Plan would be published last autumn. I asked him at PMQ 6 weeks ago when it would be published. He had no idea. It is now the middle of April. What's the hold-up?
Mr. Speaker, I've set out my position.
Well, at least that's a different question.
Plan is the first line-by-line review of defence budgets for 18 years. She talks about talking. If you're going to support and make your country safe, you have to get the right calls on the big issues. She called for us to jump into the war. They can pretend otherwise. I remember walking...
Well, there was a... God. If you go back, it was just 4 weeks, isn't it? The two appearances on camera by himself in front of the lectern, very awkwardly, one of them with the face as red as a prize turnip, or beetroot even, saying very very clearly in no uncertain terms, are we getting involved? And then, what was it, 2 days later, literally the same setup, almost the same image in the frame. And he said, well, in light of new information, yeah, we welcome America to launch themselves from our country and carry out illegal attacks on Iran in conjunction with Israel. So, God. You struggle to contemplate sometimes just how little he thinks of us and our intelligence, and that we don't know what being involved in a fucking war is.
Standing here for the first time saying we would not get drawn into the war, we would not join the offensive, and they all shouted, shame! They remember it, I remember it, they're just embarrassed by it now.
He's trying to pour some drama over the facts that we completely facilitated this and it wouldn't have happened without us.
Later,
he's in full-on theatre mode now. Let's see what comes of it.
When she realised she'd made a massive error of judgment, she attempted the mother of all U-turns. That didn't work. So this weekend she said, when I said we should jump into the war, she said this weekend, Mr. Speaker, that what she meant, she was talking about verbal support.
Well, Prime Minister, it's Prime Minister's questions. We've got to concentrate.
Just answer the question.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister loves to misrepresent my position on Iran. So he does. He loves to misrepresent it. Let's stop talking about what I didn't say. Let's start talking about what he isn't doing. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that on Monday, I offered to work with the Prime Minister to identify the welfare savings we need. What did he say? No thanks.
Welfare savings, we need to tax the rich. Idiot. Caption that. Caption that one. Get a screenshot of that bad boy. Look at that. There you go. That's some freeze frame gold there. Freeze frame that one. Oh, by the way, there is BSL hidden behind the chat in case the odd arm comes flailing out. Generally have to pre-warn you. Don't worry, it's not somebody going absolutely nuts in the chamber. It's the BSL. I'm Kevin Badenoch, isn't it? Up leader at the opposition, you know. Yeah, if you've got a good caption for that, put it in the chat.
Now that Lord Robertson has said, and I quote, we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget, will the Prime Minister think again and work with us to find savings to fund defence?
Prime Minister.
She was clear in what she was saying. She said we should give verbal support. I suppose that's standing on the side and saying, get in there, good luck, mate, you've got this. Mr. Speaker, that is her approach. We are reforming welfare and spending more on defence. They did neither. The welfare bill rose by £88 billion on their watch. It soared by £33 billion under the Shadow Chancellor's watch. We're fixing it What did they do? They voted against it. They voted to keep the broken system. So taking advice from the party opposite on reforming welfare and defence spending is like asking Liz Truss how to keep your mortgage down.
And that was Keith's... Oh, God, that was Keith's audition. For what? Strong and witty Prime Minister. Thanks, Keith. We'll let you know. Don't ring us, we'll ring you. Well, just to be safe, I think we better change our number.
This is so poor from the Prime Minister. This is... Labour MPs are laughing. Labour MPs are laughing, Mr. Speaker. This is a moment of profound national seriousness. And what are they doing? They're promoting sex toys in Parliament. That's what they're doing. Mr.
What?
Speaker, yeah, it gives a whole...
What? Might have missed that one.
whole new meaning to fiddling while Rome burns.
What the fuck? Did I miss something? Obviously, Parliament reopened on Monday. There have been a few sessions. What's this about promoting? Give me a good one, Phil. Promoting marital aids.
Reforming welfare and defence spending is like asking Liz Truss how to keep your mortgage down.
Just hear the question again.
This is so...
Because, I don't know, have you slipped something into my tea, Phil? Did I hear what I think I just heard?
poor from the Prime Minister. This is... Labour MPs are laughing. Labour MPs are laughing, Mr. Speaker. This is a moment of profound national seriousness. And what are they doing? They're promoting sex toys in Parliament. That's what they're doing. Mr. Speaker, yeah, it gives a whole new meaning to fiddling while Rome burns.
I don't know what that's referring to. I know that Starmer himself's obviously a massive dildo, but I need some context on this one, people. What's this about? And oh God, fiddling while Rome burns. Wasn't expecting this kind of material from Badenoch.
What the fuck is going on up there?
Mr. Speaker, it is being... That's what they're doing, Mr. Speaker. Let's get back to the issue of the Defence Investment Plan and defence spending. It is being reported that the Treasury is asking the MOD to make £3.5 billion worth of cuts this year. He won't fund our military because he wants to fund more welfare. That's why he has a welfare plan to 2031, but no defence investment plan at all.
I mean, we're less than halfway through, and with Starmer's repeated insistence that we're not involved in the Iran war and, Tory sex jokes, my barely adequate psychic defences are on the verge of crumbling. People. Wasn't expecting this.
Now that the Chagos surrender deal is dead, will the Prime Minister put the billions saved from ditching Chagos into defence, or is that going into welfare as well?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are spending more on defence. Yep. Record amounts on defence.
And here's the thing, I am certainly not entering the words, Labour Party sex toys parliaments into my search engine. Absolutely not. Not even out of morbid curiosity. I'm going to leave that to somebody else, or wait for somebody else to come in chat or respond in the comments as to what the context of that one was. Oh, God.
£270 billion in this Parliament, £5 billion extra. And she talks about the Chancellor. It's because of the decisions of this Chancellor that we've got the biggest boost to defence spending since the Cold War. We've also got the biggest pay rise for our armed forces for over 20 years. We've also got the biggest investment in military housing for over half a century. What did they do at the budget? They voted against all of that.
Oh, this is... I mean, I know it's been a few weeks, but surely this is worse than it normally is so far. They're not even bothering, I mean, he's not even bothering to respond to the questions. Fucking hell, on top of the usual pantomime. This is
That
bad.
sounds like he doesn't want to spend the Chagos money on defence.
Oh, fuck
Mr.
off.
Speaker,
God. Chagos now. Again.
Labour MPs will know Lord Robertson, a former Defence Secretary, a former NATO Secretary General. He is Labour through and through. They all need to think about why he stuck his head above the parapet. I went through the Strategic Defence Review with Lord Robertson last year. The Lib Dems and Reform refused to meet him. No other party is taking this seriously. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to...
Fucking kids are starving. Diesel's at £2 a litre. Public services are crumbling, and this is what we get from the leader of the opposition. And I could go on and on and on about the problems in this country, but they're fucking... Chagos. Chagos. All day long. But she's probably got a fucking Chagos tattoo.
Ask the Prime Minister a very specific question. In January 2024, Conservatives approved an upgrade of destroyers like HMS Dragon so they can better intercept ballistic missiles. In July 2024, the Prime Minister paused that plan. Will he immediately approve and fund that critical upgrade now?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Dragon was commissioned by a Labour government, as it happened. But she stands there and says, please forget the fact that we hollowed out the armed forces. Please clear up our mess. I went to the Gulf last week and thanked our armed forces for protecting British lives. She said we should have jumped into the war without thinking about the consequences.
Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, eh? That's what I'm on about.
What were you doing last week, Keith?
As it happened. But she stands there and says, please forget the fact that we hollowed out the armed forces. Please clear up our mess.
What were you doing last
week? I went to the Gulf last week and thanked our armed forces for protecting British lives.
How could that be? We're not involved in this. You went over there and thanked the people who aren't involved for getting involved?
She said we should have jumped into the war.
Did you hear that?
Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, eh? That's what I'm on about.
Without thinking about the consequences. Then said, oh no, we shouldn't be in the war.
You've accidentally incriminated yourself, Keith. You stupid bastard.
Oh no.
Next week. Now she says, what I meant was we should give verbal support.
Order. The front bench, I expect them to be quiet here. I also expect it, but it's the same people. I suspect next week you won't be in for PMQs if it carries on. Prime Minister.
In addition to saying her position is we should just say to Americans, get in there, she insulted our armed forces, Mr. Speaker, saying that they were just hanging around. These were pilots who, within 2 hours of this conflict, were up risking their lives, taking missiles out of the sky, and she insulted them, and she's never apologised for that. She said a few weeks ago that serious times call for serious people. She is not one of them.
Ian Byrne.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Prime Minister said, 37 years today, 97 innocent children, women and men went to a football match and were unlawfully killed at the hands of a corrupt state. I was at Hillsborough,
right.
and I was one of the lucky ones who survived and walked away. As parliamentary lead to the Hillsborough law, I stand here with a huge sense of obligation to the...
So many decades as well. Many of the people who are thought to be responsible as well are either long retired, some of them deceased as well, including right at the very top as well. What those families have suffered through over decades and decades. Now, people like Ian Byrne himself, sort of Liam, it's appalling. It's one of the biggest injustices in British history. Something that was entirely preventable.
97, all the families, including my constituent Debbie Matthews, every survivor and every victim of a state cover-up, who were all part of this collective campaign. There are signs of progress after last night's government concessions, but we've heard this before. Prime Minister, this is your responsibility. It is within your power to take control of this process and make good on your promise to deliver this legislation. So will you commit today to ruling out any carve-out for security services and finally delivering a full Hillsborough law worthy of the name, or will they be failed by the state once again?
Prime Minister.
Well, I know, as my honourable friend has just said, that he himself was at Hillsborough. And can I thank him for his decades of campaigning for justice. I am personally committed to working with the families to get this bill right. It is integral that their views are heard. We're discussing this precise issue with the families, and we'll make sure that he is fully updated. I reaffirm my commitment to delivering the legislation, to ensuring the duty of candour applies to all public servants.
Trent David, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
He's running away.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I echo the words of the Prime Minister about the Southport inquiry and also the 37th anniversary of the Hillsborough tragedy? Our thoughts are with all the families affected and the survivors, and I hope he will deliver on the Hillsborough
gets a couple of
law.
questions.
Today, Mr. Speaker, also marks the 3rd anniversary of the start of the devastating civil war in Sudan. I hope he will recommit to real action in the face of the world's
Free Sudan, Palestine, Lebanon, Sudan and Yemen.
Greatest humanitarian catastrophe. Mr. Speaker, in a phone call with Sky News last night, President Trump has threatened to rip up his trade deal with the UK as punishment for us not joining his...
Hidden feature unlocked. Hidden feature unlocked. Please try to remain calm during this extraordinary event.
Yes, that's right. Davey has unlocked this week's hidden feature, and he gets his own sordid little corner once again there. Yes, it's Trump. Everybody says it. This week it was Ed Davey.
Idiotic war in Iran. Mr. Speaker, this must be the last straw. Surely the Prime Minister can't send our King to meet a man who treats our country like a mafia boss running a protection racket.
Minister.
Can I join him in his comments about Sudan? We often overlook the fact this is the greatest humanitarian crisis facing the world at the moment. My position on the Iran war has been clear from the start. We're not going to get dragged into this war. It is not our war. And a lot of pressure has been applied to me to take a different course. And that pressure included...
Why were you in the Middle East last week congratulating our armed forces for defending our country and what things that they aren't doing, Keith? Go to the counties in the south where these bombers are taking off from. Do you think the people around there are just all collectively deaf? Or, should they ignore what they're seeing and what they're hearing? Probably every single day. Should we ignore excellent work from proper journalists in alternative media such as Declassified UK, who've been doing some excellent on-the-ground reporting from those bases? Do you really think that we all came down with the last drop of rain?
That was the biggest load of crap I've ever heard.
Pathetic, Keith.
What happened last night? I'm not going to change my mind. I'm not going to yield. It is not in our national...
You've never changed your mind on anything. You've never yielded before. Oh, absolutely 100% not.
...interest to join this war, and we will not do so. I know where I stand. Mr. Speaker, in relation to the King's visit, the purpose of the visit is to mark the 250th anniversary of relations and independence, obviously, of the US. The
relations of when we just, okay, we'll just give up on that one.
He is an important reminder.
We could open a can of worms with that one, but we won't.
Of the long-standing bonds and enduring relationship between our two countries, which are far greater than anyone who occupies any particular office at any particular time.
Mr. Speaker, President Trump is one of the most unpredictable people we have seen on the world stage, and I hope he does not embarrass our monarch. But moving on, Mr. Speaker, last year the Prime Minister claimed he'd done some special deal, so Brits will be able to sail through E-Gate.
No, it's not too. Sorry, he's got to. Just to point out, this doesn't affect the league. It's just a sort of side game. But there have been 2 mentions of Trump. The record was what was it for when it was Mandelson once? Did it get into the 20s? It certainly got into the 10s and teens, but did it get into the 20s? I can't remember. A week's a long time in politics.
At EU airports. But that's not the experience of families returning from holiday this week. Long queues at borders and passport controls are the latest symbol of the Brexit disaster. But they're also a symbol of this government's failure to repair that damage. So will the Prime Minister apologise for misleading British travellers? And can he tell them when they will be able to sail through passport control?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've made it very clear that I think our national interest lies in closer relations with the EU on defence, security, energy.
You just change your mind on the EU whenever it fucking seems to suit you. Prick, whether you're trying to undermine former leader of the Labour Party, then all of a sudden you have nothing to say about it for some considerable time. And now all of a sudden it's go, 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 pro-Euro. Whatever your thoughts are about joining the EU, rejoining the EU or not, I do have to say the duplicitous nature of Keith is laid bare for all to see.
And the economy. And I was very pleased that at last year's summit we did negotiate an agreement on e-gates, and we're pushing hard on that. We have another summit this year where I intend not just to make good on what we've already agreed, but to go closer to the EU in the relations that we have.
Joe White.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was Prime Minister questions, a meeting with the Prime Minister for myself and Arsenal hero Michael Thomas. We are still waiting, and I cannot back down. Not just have working-class footballers and others lost hundreds of millions to financial mis-selling, but the V11 group is still being pursued by HMRC for tax on money that they have never had. The Post Office and other injustices have been actioned. Why not the V11?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank her for her dedicated campaigning on this really important issue? I have met Michael Thomas and heard his experiences, and I share her concern about young, predominantly working-class people being exploited.
I'm not familiar with this case. Apologies. Not an Arsenal fan. You might have guessed from the accent. I know that Keir Starmer is, of course. But if you do know what this is all about, please let me know.
I do want to make progress as quickly as possible. I've asked the Chief Secretary to meet the V11 group on what further steps the government can take to support these affected, and I'll make sure that that's reported back to her so she's fully updated on what's going on.
Saoirse Eastwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 2 years ago, people voted for change. But what have they got? More of the same. Yeah. But it hasn't been them that have let down their end of the bargain. My constituents are working themselves to the bone. And let's be absolutely clear, they are working and still having to claim benefits. There's not a single section of society, whether it's farmers, care workers, students, you name it, they have been let down. And I don't want that to be the case. We need to show that this House works for them. because actors will step into that space. People would love nothing more than our democracy to be toppled because we cannot show our people a better way of life. We used to say to people, if you work hard, you get on in life. That hasn't been the case for years. Will this government now change economic and fiscal course and deliver for people in the worst cost of living crisis?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, wages are going up higher in the first year of this Labour government they did in the 10 years of the party.
Doesn't matter if inflation's going up and expected growth is going to be way down as well, as we mentioned on yesterday's stream. Now forecast at 0.8%. It's not even going to get above 1% now.
Decision at the budget to cut energy bills across the country. I was in Northern Ireland, as she knows, just a few weeks ago, making the announcement about heating oil, which is obviously of huge concern in Northern Ireland, hearing what people had to say, putting in place £53 million. The authorities in Northern Ireland will administer that, but we're looking more widely at what we can do.
Jodie Gosling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under this government, George Eliot Hospital in my constituency is thriving, rapidly soaring up league tables, ending corridor care, and now welcome an expansion to our community diagnostic centre with a new breast cancer diagnosis unit. Yet the same staff delivering this life-saving care for Nuneaton are suffering horrific abuse, much of which appears to be racially motivated. The staff I've met believe that right-wing marchers who don't even live in my town doing Nazi salutes on our high street are fanning the flames of hatred towards their colleagues. Will the Prime Minister join me in condemning acts of violence against the dedicated staff at George Eliot and join me in celebrating their achievements?
In Nuneaton, yeah, that's terrible. Fascist scum off our streets.
Possibly with a visit to our CDC to see their excellent work and show their deep gratitude for their service and resilience.
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. Violence against our NHS staff is despicable. And we're introducing a new offence to protect emergency workers from harassment. In terms of the congratulations, can I thank all our hard work of our NHS staff who've delivered 5 million extra appointments in our first year in government.
It's 5.
Mr. Speaker, we're going further. This week we've announced 36 new and expanded community diagnostic centres across the country, including expanded services in Nuneaton. That's the difference a Labour government makes.
Gregory Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Prime Minister, there is severe hardship being experienced by businesses, consumers and families right across the United Kingdom. Not just normal cost of living costs, but fuel costs is exceptionally high and getting higher. There are protests being organised as we speak for next week. Prime Minister, we need action delivered as quickly as possible in order to ensure that
Well, they've outlawed repeat protests this week, haven't they? There was the PSC demonstration on Monday down in London. We showed a little bit of that on yesterday's live stream as well, but all repeat protests and things like defend our juries will be included in that.
these protests don't escalate out of control and people see that politics matters, governments listen and take action rather than just offer words.
Can I thank him for his question? I know that his constituents and all of those in Northern Ireland are concerned about the impact that the war in Iran is having on them. I was in Northern Ireland just a few weeks ago where I spoke directly to party leaders and we're...
Get to the bit where you gloat about banning repeat protests, Keith. Surely this is something you're really proud of. Aren't you going to wear your heart on your sleeve? Aren't you going to wear this decision like a badge of honour? We're the Labour Party who banned repeat protests. The party founded by unions. (2026)
Announce what we're doing in that regard on heating oil. Obviously, fuel duty is frozen until September. Energy bills have been reduced. And we've also made it clear that we wouldn't tolerate profiteering or unfair practices, which was a particular concern raised with me when I was over in Northern Ireland. The most important thing we can do is to de-escalate the conflict and get the Straits of Hormuz open, and that's why I'm co-hosting the summit on Friday in order to make progress on both those fronts.
Patrick Hurley.
Thank you, Mr.
What a... yeah. That's going to be the party of the century, for sure. Get down there if you want some lively entertainment. Hosting that one.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Prime Minister firstly for his words earlier in relation to the horrific attack in my constituency, and also for the work that the government is now doing as a result. The families affected do not want their lives to be defined by the attack, and we must not allow my great town to be defined by it either. That's why I'm asking for the Prime Minister's help to ensure that my town's best days lie ahead of it. My council is helping to bring empty town centre properties back into residential use. It's a much-needed corrective after years of decline and neglect from the previous government. But more needs to be done. So does the Prime Minister agree with me that our town centres need place-based funding, and will he back me in my bid for Southport to be included in the next round of Pride in Place support?
Prime Minister.
Can I just say, having sat with him and the families of those impacted in Southport, in his constituency a number of times, can I just thank him for everything that he did and is continuing to do in response to that awful attack? And can I agree with him wholeheartedly that Southport cannot be defined by what happened in that awful, tragic incident, and therefore he is right to have the pride that he does have in his community. I'm delighted we're investing in reopening the iconic Southport Pier. We're investing, Mr. Speaker, £5.8 billion through our Pride in Place fund to cut...
I wouldn't say iconic. You know, seen as the poor man's Blackpool, and until recently Blackpool had the highest unemployment rate in the country and also the lowest life expectancy rate until it was superseded by Glasgow, I believe. Iconic? I don't know if I'd go that far, Keith. But if it's a redevelopment, I guess.
And resources and put them into the hands of nearly 300 communities, and only a Labour government will deliver this kind of change.
Ms. Cocking.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Welfare spending is set to rise by another £70 billion by 2030. And the last time I asked the Prime Minister about this, he said he was mending the system. Well, since then, Mr. Speaker, this disastrous Labour government have raised taxes on working people to give even more to those who don't. The people I speak to across Broxbourne think that this Labour government are taking them for mugs. So what does the Prime Minister say to working people across this United Kingdom who are being asked to pay more and are getting less?
I'll tell them they were let down very badly by the last government for 14 years, and we're clearing up the mess.
Julie Binns.
Mr. Speaker, in the last week alone, 2 Scottish pensioners have been hospitalised following a collision with an illegal e-bike, and a 10-year-old boy in Grimsby was injured by another. The new Product and Regulation and Metrology Act gives government the power to define these bikes as unsafe and ban them from sale. Will the Prime Minister reassure my Carlisle constituents that the government will use these new powers to rid our streets of the menace of illegal e-bikes?
Or you regulate them because they are obviously an environmentally friendly mode of transport. I do think that something has to be done because they're in this sort of grey area now at the moment. The cases she's referring to are tragic, however, they are outliers. There are a great number of e-bikes and e-scooters. You see them everywhere you go now. And it used to be like, oh, look, there's someone on one of them. Will they, won't they be stopped or arrested? And now it's, you know, there is no real sense of policing. So what needs to happen is regulation. of some sort. Maybe in the form of registration, classification, this kind of thing. But I think an outright ban is a bit of an overreach, a bit of a dramatic reaction.
And as a tenacious campaigner on this issue, and I thank her for that, we launched a major programme of reform of the UK's product safety regulation. This will help tackle unsafe products being sold online, including non-compliant e-bikes.
I mean, I think I was being pretty mild there. I think it's an absolutely ridiculous suggestion, to suggest banning them.
Bikes and the batteries that power them. Mr. Speaker, we're also giving the police new powers to take unsafe e-bikes off the roads and destroy them without issuing a warning beforehand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yates Station is at the heart of the...
And again, the duplicitous nature of Keith, and well, you can even bring capitalism into the broader argument of this. So, Company A comes to the United Kingdom. Hey, we want to set up a business. Of course you can. Economy, economy, economy. What are you building? We're building e-scooters and e-bike. Oh, that's great. Yeah, just keep the money flowing in. Excuse me, keep the economy going. It's all good. It's all good. It's like, God, would you look at this? All of these e-bikes and scooters ended up all over the roads. All of a sudden. Yeah. Something has to be done. Who's responsible for this? We need to find these people.
The town's industrial area and can be a gateway to the eastern end of the Western Innovation Arc. Local rail users tell me they want it improved. Businesses stress its importance for attracting a workforce, and in the wake of local manufacturing job losses, its redevelopment could be a catalyst for wider regeneration. There are already proposals in the town's master plan, so will the Prime Minister back jobs growth by supporting the redevelopment of Yates Station?
Prime Minister. I thank the honourable member. We're
no
providing West of England Combined
whatsoever.
Authority with over £750 million to invest in their priorities. That could include improving services and station facilities at Yate, and I know she'll make her voice heard in relation to that. I'm pleased construction is already underway at new stations at Charfield and North Filton. We've upgraded the Filton Bank line as well, enabling more frequent reliable services in the region.
Dr. Peter Prinsley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I first thank the nurses, the doctors, the radiographers and the receptionists who were not on strike when I tripped and broke my wrist last week.
I was wondering if he was so angry that he actually broke his arm hammering on the front door of 10 Downing Street.
After years of neglect, Labour is rebuilding our NHS, including the West Suffolk Hospital at Bury St Edmunds and the new dental school at the UEA. Now, does the Prime Minister share my genuine alarm, as a surgeon who's worked at the front line for more than 40 years, that the vague social insurance proposals of some of our opponents would be the end of our NHS and seriously threaten the health and well-being of millions of our fellow citizens?
Prime Minister.
Can I wish him a speedy recovery? He obviously speaks with great authority and experience on our NHS, and he's right to point out that waiting lists at the low...
So, should we all prepare ourselves for the customary cutaway shots to a nodding West Streeting, which is very likely about to be coming up? Not that this pantomime's somewhat predictable or anything, or that we've set up an entire game around that fact. Get ready.
For 3 years. Any waiting times are the best for 4 years, and ambulance response times are faster for 5 years. That's because of the investment that we put in and they opposed. But I wonder how much my honourable friend would have been charged if he had arrived at a reform hospital under an insurance-based scheme. That would turn the clock back. The NHS is on the road to recovery. Don't risk it with reform.
Nicky Slade.
Oh, well. It's embarrassed me they've shown me up. They didn't actually do the cutaway shot. Have we already seen Streeting in view? I'm not 100% certain if I've noticed him or not. Oh well.
Wimp! Pervert! Nubbend!
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister join me in congratulating Dorset Wildlife Trust and the people of Dorset for their incredible efforts to secure Upton Heath for nature after part of this internationally designated site was put up for sale after decades-old planning consent was being used for mineral extraction? We've worked round the clock to raise hundreds of thousands secured just last night to buy the site. But the value was inflated by this permission from the 1950s, which should never have applied to a site of special scientific interest. Will the Prime Minister demonstrate his government's commitment to nature by committing to legislate to extinguish historic planning consents without compensation on sites that achieve international environmental designation?
Minister.
Can I thank the honourable member, and relevant ministers are happy to discuss with her the specific site that she mentions at greater depth, and reassure her we're committed to protecting our countryside. Our land use framework balances restoring nature with meeting demands of homes and energy. We've just announced £60 million. That's a record.
Don't make me laugh. Do not get me started, Keith.
Amount to support nature and threatened species.
Rachel Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm greatly welcome the government's announcement
That was the biggest load of crap I've ever heard.
Jobs, skills and well-being support in one place. So does the Prime Minister agree with me that after years of neglect under the previous Conservative government, it's this Labour government that's investing in the future of our young people?
Can I start by congratulating...
And that's the planted question of the week on PMQs.
Congratulating Luton Town on winning at Wembley. Coached, of course, by Jack Wilshere, a great ex-Arsenal star. I'm delighted her constituency is benefiting from a new youth hub, one of the 80 additional hubs that we're launching across the country. That stark contrast to what we inherited. Over 1,000 youth centres were closed under the Tories. Spending on youth services was slashed by 73%. Labour's bringing youth clubs back, and we're proud to do so, building a better future for our young people.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After 25...
One thing I notice about PMQs as well is, you know, the whole cabinet are there in the shadow cabinet, and they don't answer questions. It's PMQs. They sit in a line and nod along, or, you know, chunter along and get involved with all of the pantomime and whatnot. But aside from that, the presence is pretty much not required. It's surplus. So why don't they make it a bit more interesting? They should, you know, just redo the format, and it's just Keith in a kind of, I don't know, it's black background with a spotlight kind of scenario, a bit more akin to maybe, I don't know, like Mastermind / more modern quiz show / PMQs kind of thing, with like genuine pressure, and they monitor his heart rates and display it on the screen and things like that. So it gets a lot more sort of confrontational in person instead of this setup. Because anybody who watches this from countries that have PR or perhaps better decorum in their parliaments must really find this absolutely ancient and obsolete and somewhat laughable. So I suggest a better format along those lines, just Keith versus the questioners direct, because it's all predetermined who's going to ask the questions and whatnot. And you won't have the cheering and the and all that shite in the fucking background all the time. And he'd be put to task a lot better as well, I think. It'd be certainly more watchable.
5 years on Prince's Risborough High Street, retailer Cado have said they are closing, citing hikes in business rates and the increases on taxation on employing people amongst their reasons. A few yards up on Duke Street, Salon 24 Hair, for the first time in 21 years, cannot afford to take on a new apprentice. How many more businesses need to close, jobs be lost, and apprenticeship opportunities trashed need to happen before this Prime Minister understands that the practical outturn of his policies aren't working?
Well, I'm concerned to hear of those examples. We have put in place support for small businesses, and I'll make sure that's available.
Some slightly more severe suggestions in the chat. Doc Davies put them in a boxing ring, and trial by combat, suggested by Halleck 1149 there. Keep your alternative PMQ's format suggestions coming in, and in the comments if you're watching back later on.
To him to pass on to his constituents.
Dave Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow night I will be hosting a public meeting about the chronically delayed Burntwood Health Centre. For over a decade, well over a decade, people in my town have been let down by the lack of this replacement facility. We thought there might be light at the end of the tunnel when we were promised it by the end of 2025, but the end of last year came and went.
But it turns out the Prime Minister and his government are a set of lying twats.
No health centre and not even a planning permission. Will the Prime Minister agree with me that the County Council, now led by Reform, have promised a new health centre to the people of Burntwood, and they must make sure that there are no more broken promises to my constituents?
Prime Minister.
Well, he's a great champion for his constituents, and it's shocking that they've been waiting over a decade for this practice. I agree with him, but sadly, Reform's leadership in Staffordshire is an absolute mess. They've had three leaders in 3 months, one of them forced to step down for appalling racist comments, and they're simply not getting on with the job. He's obviously proud of that. All you can count on for Reform is chaos and division.
Final question.
Oh, so it was planted dig at Reform. I mean, you know, nothing wrong with having a dig at Reform. Just identifying the tactics that were being used.
David Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last year, my constituents suffered the closure of the urgent care centre at Mount Vernon.
Wait, my tea, Phil. How far away is he? I've lost all sense of perspective. Is he? Was the guy to his... I mean, this happened early when it looks as though Kemi Badenoch was sat down, or is the guy to his right just extraordinarily portly? Or something? What? There's just something not right about that, isn't there?
Hospital. And this
year... There we go. That's better. Sorry, it's just... Good person. It looked like a fucking Jim Henson puppet or something for a moment.
Here they face the loss of the cancer centre as well, leaving my most vulnerable constituents with long and difficult journeys to access life-saving and life-sustaining treatment. So will he encourage his Health Secretary to join in the U-turns and guarantee the future of Mount Vernon Hospital?
I don't know the particular details of his hospital, but I will make sure that they're looked into. We have put record investment into the NHS, but now he's raised that, I will make sure we look specifically into the case that he's raised here in this House.
Let the front benches change over.
It's all over, people. Stunning return for Postman Twat and deliver 6-0 victory over Black Hole. Didn't get on the scoreboard. Second time out, 2 mentions for the hidden feature word, which was Trump. So Postman Twat certainly delivering on his return there in what... Oh God. It is normally difficult, but I'm sure that was a bit more difficult than usual. Especially since everything in Iran continued. So that is it for this week's Keith's Catchphrases. Let's see how that will affect the table. Obviously no position change despite the victory. Postman Twat will be on 13 points there, just extending the lead above Budget on 7, though Budget will have 1 game in hand, as it were. And as for the bottom of the table, still in 9th place, we'll have Black Hole with 0, and Plan is the only one in the bottom half of the table who scored anything yet. Okay, more next week. That was it for this week's Keith's Catchphrases.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. We will stick with a bit of sort of relevant UK politics. As we move on to other stories. Let's see. Yeah, I guess we'll kick off with this whole Steve Reid thing. The Housing Secretary, for some reason, thinks that Labour can do to Zach Polanski in 2026 what they did to Jeremy Corbyn during his leadership between 2015 and 2020. And this was in an interview, and it's actually, this isn't a sort of caught-out thing. He posted this himself on his own social media, saying that and it's unbelievable, especially when you consider the fact that Zach Polanski himself is Jewish, that he says he's going to rid the Green Party of anti-Semitism, like, and quoting him, they did to Labour under Corbyn. Let's see what's happening.
We kicked them out, and they've been able to walk into the Green Party with no one checking their backgrounds. Now, a lot of those people are not only in the Green Party, they have been selected to stand as candidates in these local elections. And Zach Polanski hasn't got a clue who they are because he didn't bother to do the work in advance. He's been very open with that with the public. They don't have a vetting procedure that is up to scratch. And they didn't bother to check these people's backgrounds. And they're now putting them up for election in a few weeks' time up and down the country. And the public have no idea that these people who they think are, you know, soft, fluffy Green Party supporters are actually racists and anti-Semites.
Well, he's obviously shitting himself, as are the entire Labour Party, for what's coming up in, well, it's 3 weeks tomorrow. An absolute hammering, an absolute drubbing that they're going to get in the local elections. Let's just take that from the top. That short
kicked them out,
clip there.
And they've been able to walk into the Green Party with no one checking their backgrounds.
There is a vetting procedure in the Green Party, of course.
Now, a lot of those people are not only in the Green Party, they have been selected to stand as candidates in these local elections.
Yep, and they're going to win, and they're going to take a lot of seats from Labour as well.
And Zach Polanski has...
They're not racist, though. It's ludicrous.
Hasn't got a clue who they are because he didn't bother to do the work in advance. He's been very open with that with the public. They don't have a vetting procedure that is up to scratch. And they didn't bother to check these people's backgrounds.
Where do you claim to get this information from, Steve? At all? What, you telling Zach Polanski that you know more about the inner workings of his party than he does or his members do?
And they're now putting them up for election in a few weeks' time up and down the country. And the public have no idea that these people who they think are, you know, soft, fluffy Green Party supporters are
soft, fluffy. Green Parties. What's that supposed to mean?
actually racists and anti-Semites.
Ludicrous. And of course there was no anti-Semitism crisis in the Labour Party, just as there is none in the Green Party either. It really is desperate. It really is desperate to try and use those same tactics, but also, again, double standards. Let's remind ourselves of this from 2020, very early into Keir Starmer's tenure as Labour leader. So he himself had to apologise unreservedly for a puppet master tweet about a Jewish Tory donor. So as far as anti-Semitic slurs go, there is actual evidence of that from Steve Reid himself, but none from this, well, frankly, it's bullshit scare tactics. And recycled, easily debunkable crap. And there's a very good reason for that as well. Because this is the forecast from Steve Reid's very seat in Streatham and Croydon North. This is the forecast. A green gain from Labour. So this probably has more to do with the real reason why Steve Reid's saying those things than there actually being any element of truth to them whatsoever. Yeah, and to say that about currently the only leader of a UK political party who's Jewish is beyond insane. That's going to do them more harm than good. That just exposes how low they're prepared to sink in the desperation in trying to make things up about their opponents. They've clearly got nothing good to say about themselves. They can't go out there broadcasting their own track record since they got into government. Hey everybody, take a look at us at 6th place in this poll. Take a look at the lowest projected growth from any developed country, as opposed to a war that we facilitated, definitely not involved though. If we hadn't done so, we wouldn't be bearing the brunt of these economic consequences. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot, people. So yeah, go around screaming that from the rooftops. Throw in those old Steve Reid tweets as well, while you're at it. But just more into the substance of this one, it's another example of excellent, almost 20% gain from the Green Party there, 19.3%. And a tanking of almost 50% for Labour, down 24.6%. So the double-digit exchanges continue at this time, almost both heading into the 20s. There, with the Greens finishing with 36.4% of the vote share. Reform only gaining 7.2% as well, and Lib Dem and Tories with minor changes. That's the truth, that's why Steve Reid is crapping his pants. Poor effort from Steve. But good effort from the Greens there in Streatham and Croydon North. That's not the only place we're going to take a look at either. Got a couple of more projections. Shout out to Stats for Lefties for providing that one and these, actually. And we're going to hark back to one that we saw a few weeks ago as well. But before that one, another seat from London. Excuse me, just going to take a quick sip of brew. Because again, in Hackney, look at this. Another double-digit gain, 17.1% this time. But that's taken the vote share up to 40%, with Labour dropping again into the 20s, 20.6 this time. So reiterating the fact that it is the Greens with the biggest threat to reform, who fortunately only gain 10. I say only, they make a 10.6% gain in Hackney. And that's for the council. The last one we saw was for Steve Reed's seat, I believe. Just double check that actually. Doesn't actually say. Oh, spoiler. Well, we will move on quickly because that's just one other example. The Greens are set to make some incredible gains in London in just 3 weeks' time. Well, that one wasn't really a spoiler for a split second. This is actually one from March, one from last month. We saw in Newcastle, do you remember we saw a couple of more disappointing ones? But don't worry, people. I do actually come bearing some good news where Newcastle's concerned. There was another one from Sunderland as well, which also had a reform gain. However, in Newcastle's case, there seems to have been a bit of a turnaround. This is the latest one, which is projecting a Green Party gain with 30% of the vote. Labour with 21, Reform down to 19, so that one looking a bit more satisfactory than the previous one. And that's quite a turnaround as well in a short amount of time, if it's accurate. They are different pollsters and estimates. Well, let's hope this one is more accurate than the other one, of course. .3%, I should say. Another 20-odd% drop for Labour. These locals will be unprecedented. Unprecedented. We'll be picking some further hot seats. I think Newcastle's got a pretty good shout there with those sort of contradicting polls in a relatively short amount of time, for example. What do you make of those, people? Please let us know in the chat. Double check that you've hit the thumbs up button as well, please, if you would. I'm going to give another shout out to the members. Right now, Solidari-Tea to everybody whose names you can see on your screen. You can join this list of marvellous members for just 99 pence. Hit the join button if you want to find out more about the perks. And thanks again to those of you who've gifted memberships to others, as well as renewing your own recently. Or ever. And yes, if you watch it back later, there's a Buy Me a Coffee page in the description of any content on the channel. You'll find the link there. And super thanks are also open. And you really should move that block of names back into the middle of the screen there, Phil. Wink, wink. Thank you, good people. I am going to be calling it a night shortly, but we will be raiding into our friend Helena at No Justice, MTG. So make sure that you hit thumbs up when we land there. Stick around, more quality content to come up from fellow socialist YouTuber. There will be more live streams through the week, of course. Do hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future content. You've been fantastic in the chat. Thank you very much for being here and for being all cordial, etc. Comrades, Solidari-Tea. I've been your humble host, Lefty. This has been the Brews at 10. On my left eye, power to the people, free Palestine, Sudan, Lebanon, and Yemen. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Don't watch the news. Be the news. On my left eye, I'll be seeing you soon. Good night, everybody. Ta-ra for now.
Right, off you go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
That's easy!
The door is open and you can leave.